Perhaps you know this about me. Perhaps you don't. I am an English teacher. And why that matters is I've designed a resource for the classroom, and that's what we're going to be looking at today. Now, before you click away, I think that this is a really fun idea. It's very colorful and thematic. It's themed around, you know how Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, they collect badges once they've completed a task? I wanted to incentivize my students to complete tasks. And so I designed a bunch of thematic badges that I'm excited to show you. So let's hit that intro, and I'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to Circling Back. Now, in my most recent video, the first video in this series, I talked about thumbnails, and that was a more in-depth video. This video is going to be more high level, but I still think we're going to scratch a similar itch here. And so here's the introduction page of my badge book, and let's get down to the instructions. So what are students doing? At the beginning of the week, your teacher will select 3 skills to focus on. At week's end, one of the 3 skills will randomly be chosen. Students who demonstrate proficiency in the chosen skill earn a star. 3 stars denote mastery and earn the student a badge. As you grow, so will your badge count. They would have 3 different stars that they would etch in, and once they covered up all 3, like I said, they would receive a badge that I would have printed out, and then they can tape it onto their badge book. For instance here are our first 3 badges. And so they're incentivized with this first one in order to be well-paced. So not too fast, not too slow. Students seamlessly adjusts to class transitions. Let's say that they're dragging their feet in between transitions. If they did it well one week, a second week, and a third week, they would receive well-paced. It's a turtle. Turtles are my favorite animal. I themed these 3 badges around animals. I do want to point out here that a lot of these images, the main thing is not mine, but I did design, I'm curating it, and then I'm trying to dress it up and, repurpose it. What I first did was found just a bundle of cutesy animals, and then I found a font that I thought would be complementary to it. So I curved it in this case in order to form it up around the turtle shell, and you'll see that theme hold consistent. They're all curved around to accentuate the curves of the animals. I would print out a bunch of copies and give them to students as they earned them. Going back here, I wanted to give an example of what the badges would look like. Kind of like this, and so I custom made these, making them just 2 different colors. I didn't want them to pop too much or to be too complex. This one in particular, I like the color, and I like how this red is in direct contrast to the green, but by making the green a lighter tone and the red, a little bit more brown, it ties together with the Good Apple and the Dead Poet Society, but it makes it not look Christmassy. And I'm playing around with contrast here. You've got yellow and purple, which are opposite colors. And then I've got some more similar colors as well. So this next badge, or set of badges, it's pretty straightforward here. I wanted ones relating to just being punctual, being proactive, and being prepared. So Mind Your P's was the... I thought that was a cute title. So I started off with just finding images that would work well together, making sure that the color scheme worked between all of them. And then I found a badge. I wanted 3 different shaped badges. I wanted to make it that this pencil case looked like it was behind the ribbon to marry it to the image more. And then here's the prepared. Okay, moving on to the next one. I like this big black chunky text. And I did something with this eyeball. I wanted to make it look like a camera. And so there's this circle that I put here behind that black dot. And so you'll start to see here, I start getting more creative and bold with my theming here. So paparazzi, pop as in popcorn. Please don't spoil the class by adding your own soundtrack. Student keeps distractions to a minimum. I called these ones retrospection, as in like a retro movie theater. Strawman, as in strawman argument. While bubbling with passion, the student knows when an argument goes flat. Just in case you have, an argumentative student. And then side order here, I found these two characters. I thought that they worked well together, and then I thought that this fry looked as though it was sitting, and so propping it up on the side here just gives it a little bit more dynamism, versus in this one I have the popcorn hanging over to the edge, and then I have the soda can behind the image. We're going to look at the text here. I'll point out some of the text because I think, for me, this is its own creative endeavor as well as the text is. So the text reads, "Wolves and humans are social animals, but often the best work happens outside the pack." And for the ant one, ant colony, in contrast to a lone wolf, cooperation and collaboration, it's as if you and your group are of one mind. And lastly, the school of fish, 'tis folly to swim against the current, go with the flow of the entire class. And I really like, with this fish, I liked just putting these bubbles here and putting this algae here to make the image. And I put these cookie crumbs, bread crumbs here, making it look as though each of these backgrounds, the animal in question was interacting with the background. Okay, moving on. This was the most straightforward one now. The larger resource has to do with sewing and growing, and so it's around an acronym called sewing, where I incentivize students to be self-aware, others-aware, and workspace aware. So that's the S, the O, and the W that are covered there. And so I wanted to create a very straightforward badge, and I liked this like peel away look of the badge. And this penciled in, drawing made me go with a thinner font to make it look as though the same pencil, the same hand drew these. And so in terms of also creating consistency and, a motif across all of the images, I liked this image of the hand and flowers growing out of it. And so the three different ways with regards to self-awareness, others awareness, and workspace awareness is I had this hand in every single one. And this one, self-awareness, would mean that you're growing within yourself, and so maybe you're interacting with the sun. And here, I just flipped that image and mirrored it in order to give the impression of you are reaching towards somebody else for others aware. And this last one, I flipped it, put the hand on the top, and showed the hand planting more seeds, because if you're aware of your workspace, you're going to be, kind of tilling the ground, tending to the soil. Okay, so those are the sow and grow badges. Moving on. Now, the rest of these badges are for the English classroom in particular. These other badges were more broad and generic and could be applied in any classroom. These ones, and you'll start to see the English side of my brain start to jump out here. And so I found these really cool images. And I like the different shapes here. I forget what I looked up, but I love the minimalistic design. This is one of my favorite designs, and I just decided to put a border around all of them. So you see me doing that. I found this one, and if I remember correctly, in order to get this in this hexagonal shape, I had to use a photo frame, and then I just took a square image that matched this image. Like a beacon of light piercing the foggy unknown, the students' annotations and highlights guide them through most every passage. So you've got, of course, beacon, light, piercing, foggy unknown. All of these particular words help me to enliven this theme. Okay, cliffhanger. For the student who teeters the edge of suspense, eyes bungeeing up and down the page, keep pace. Maybe one day you'll catch the author. And love this. Of course, in terms of sentence construction, you're getting a little mini lesson here. This doesn't need to exist, but adding it adds just that much more flavor and relates to the cliffhanging. And lastly, cultivator. Irrigated with a thirst for vocab, this student tends to reading comprehension like a farmer to soil. Pretty straightforward here. Okay, and this one is called Story Seekers Badges. Moving on to our next set of badges. This one is a fun set of badges. It's all themed around Halloween, and these are called Words and Witchcraft Badges. So you're seeing the recurring theme, the recurring motif of this boiling pot as if it were a witch concocting these different brews. So the first one here, skeleton outline, competency with the essential features that shape a written work, leaning into that image of a skeleton. And in order to articulate the fact that the skeleton is going into the pot, I grabbed these lines, these black lines, just to show direction. So that's what's going on there. And then a little bit about the background. It was tedious making this one a little bit, in that I wanted, and you'll see this with a lot of my images, I wanted these bones in order to feel as though they're interacting with this teal line. And so in order to do that, I had to put the teal line right behind it. So that's the first example. Second one, trouble brewing. Through brainstorming, student transforms raw ingredients into potent ideas. And so looking at this one, you've got the same thing where I'm using those green lines in order to place this behind. And I like this pastel kind of color. I think that it pops against the dark purple of the brew. So that's what I was going for with regards to that. You pop the pumpkin on the front and the broom down there at the bottom. And lastly, decomposition. Editing is the process of reanimating dead ideas. And so, all three things, whether it's the title, the text, or the image, I'm using all of these to create this cohesive idea. And I thought that this was fun, just putting the one finger on the other side of it as if it's that line can be grabbed almost. This one in particular I would highlight as being the most fun. Now, for some reason, I don't know why, I have just always loved the Universal monsters. So some of my favorites, the Invisible Man, the Mummy, and Frankenstein. And so there's a lot of decision making that went into this, but I started off with Frankenstein, and you've seen this already with me bending the text. Nothing new here. Let me unlock this. So you've got Frankenstein against a mountain backdrop. I don't actually know where Frankenstein is set. It's probably someplace in Europe. And you've got his hand and what he's holding there. I don't know if that's a brain or a heart. And then you've got his hand over here clipping over the edge. And I thought that was a perfect badge. So I just added this Frankenstory thing here. Text here, our author's mad scientists, student can expertly dissect their creations. And so therein comes the creative spin on this badge. Now, moving on to the other two, you'll start to see more manipulation, more author's purpose as with regards to me, playing off of that idea of mummification. Student understands the narrative techniques and tropes that an author is using. So I'm playing off of fiction, playing that into the word. And How I ended up doing this is the background is different. Did I do a different shape? Yeah, I wanted a different shape. So consistency here, they're all rounded shapes, but this one, and I thought that this shape in particular worked well in that it's slanting diagonally, and it's slanting in the same direction as this mummy casket is. So I just liked the direction of everything, and it was pretty easy, straightforward just to put this guy here. I wanted him, jumping off either side just as Frankenstein is. And then the last thing here was finding mummy text. And this feels as though it would work for like a blockbuster movie. And then these kind of look like the I don't know if like hieroglyphic is the word, but they just look like they're like inked in, and they offer a completely different feel. And I think that pairing this with the almost more cemented mummy text here creates a fun play between the two texts. And the last little subtle thing I'm doing here is, in order to create a sense of perspective, my text here at the front, the F, is bigger than the text here at the back, just to give, a sense of the F is closer and the N is farther. Okay, on to, I think maybe my favorite badge of all of them, the invisible plan. And the text reads as such: purpose is as an invisible hand guiding an author's piece. Student can identify this. It's a simple trick, but I think it's effective. I have made this text a little bit transparent, almost as if it's invisible. So it's on the nose, but I think it's effective. Yeah, I put this on top. I didn't actually like the footing here, so I took the feet off, and then it kind of looks like a shadow down here now. And this is how I synthesized all of these ideas into one image. Finally, the last set of badges: fall into place, winter break, and summery vacation. Yeah, so really stretching that last one here, but let's get into it. Fall into place. Argument falls into place because student knows how to display their analysis. And really just what is being displayed here is this image in particular. I found this collection of images. I thought they were stunning, and because Canva was supplying them, I wanted to accentuate them. And so I thought that this text right here might read as if you saw it on a cabin, like in the Northeast, like the Poconos in Pennsylvania, where I'm close to, or New York or something like that. Same thing with a winter ski trip. This has this archaic feel to it. People had those stamps that they would use wax for, right? An emblem. So I thought that gave it a nice feel. So argument falls into place because student knows how to display their analysis. Winter break. Topic sentence and conclusion sentence are used to create strong paragraph breaks. So yeah, I'm stretching this a little bit here. It's just because I fell in love with the images. And then summary vacation, stretch. Student provides motivated context, not surface summary or summary. So there you go. It was at least a lot of fun to make, and maybe it was fun for you to watch me talk through my process and how I create these resources. Thanks for watching.